Hey guys, Arm&Gun here. Gonna do a quick video on the SIG MPX. I already talked about this thing a fair bit in my SIG overview video, so if you want to check that out as well, I'll talk about that, as well as a couple pistols, and of course the SIG Rattler. Just all the SIG stuff I have currently in my collection. But today, focus is on the MPX. This thing, I think honestly, was one of the most innovative things to come to the pistol caliber carbine or the SMG market in a long time. So, and what I mean by that specifically is, well, finally you have a nice SMG that has true AR, that's truly modeled after the AR. I shouldn't say the first one because there was the Angstad Arms UDP9 and just AR9s in general. But this thing is its own unique platform that still makes use of the SIG MPX, or sorry, MCX bolt system, reciprocating bolt system that doesn't require a buffer tube. What's more is they incorporated the rotating locked breech, so the bolt actually goes forward and locks. Lots of times pistol caliber carbines, specialty stuff in like 9 and 45, it's just blowback. So they're simply they're throwing a big mass of a bolt in there, then they, once with the big spring behind it, so it's got a tight action, and once, they're relying on the weight of the bolt and the strength of the spring to keep the action closed long enough for the bolt to exit, the pressure to decrease enough to safely open. But what you get with that is more recoil. You get this big mass reciprocating what's inside the gun. Actually, on that note, check out my video on the UMP9, the HK, and it's exactly that. It's basically a plastic shell with a huge bolt and a powerful spring behind it, and that's what it does. And in 9mm, it's not bad because you're putting out a relatively small projectile at a moderate speed, and the UMP9 actually is kind of a nice shooter. I've heard in 40 Smith & Wesson, which is a much higher pressure round, that thing is really rocking, and it's slamming that bolt back that much faster, and you do feel that. I've just heard it's been snappy, and especially in full auto, it jumps all over the place. 45 ACP, I'm not sure. I would assume it's somewhere in between, just because you've got a heavier projectile leaving the barrel, so there's more energy going on there. But I digress. The MPX, I just think, again, is super cool. The other neat thing about it is it's fully ambi. You got your oversized mag release here and your ambi here, or left side there. Ambi safety, I guess. And what's really cool, so again, last round bolt hold open. That's pretty commonplace nowadays. But it's also got an ambi, a bolt drop. You got your standard one on this side, like an AR, and then this little index finger one right here. And I just have it hard for index bolt release. My biggest complaint about the SIG Rattler is an MCX, I suppose for that matter, is why the heck they haven't implemented this yet on those, because I just absolutely love this feature, and it's so slick on the MPX. Also, this system, well, it would have a T-style charging handle like the ARs, so that's inherently ambidextrous. I went with an aftermarket Radian Raptor charging handle, just because I like getting a good purchase on that handle, and I find that the factory one just leaves a little less to be desired. Maybe I just got chunky hands or something, but I don't know. I prefer upgrading the charging handle. That's one of the first things I'll do. That and the trigger, because I have to say, with the Gen 1 and 2 MPXs, the trigger was awful. Left a ton to be desired. And I swapped in, it's really quickly, you just takes drop in or whatever AR trigger group you want to throw in it. Though with that, I'll give a quick disclaimer. I put a CMC 3.5 pound single stage trigger. I just really like it. It's such a clean break. Just gorgeous. And I'll show the reset right here real quick. Just awesome trigger. I have several of them in several guns, but due to the high velocity bolt carrier, just the way the action goes in here, it is faster, everything's condensed. I've heard it does wreak a bit of havoc on, it can be hard on the hammers of the triggers. It's not going to hurt the gun, I've heard, to run a different trigger, but SIG does have a special design hammer, or like little steel plate that protects the hammer from the carrier just coming back and slamming into it really hard. So, sorry, I might have that a bit mistaken too. It might be the hammer that comes back and strikes the plate No, that's separate. There's also a steel plate reinforcing the receiver where the back of the hammer comes back. So there's also that in there. They've accounted for that. But just in general, they do make aftermarket triggers for these things now that are specifically designed for the SIG MPX and won't get messed up. I was taking my chances with this. I've only put 30 rounds through this one. I've had one before this too, which I shot more, but I sold it and then I missed it, so I had to replace it. But that's just how some things go. I might be swapping this one out for a new Gen 3, which is pretty exciting. I'll get the 4.5-inch barrel with the M-LOK handguard, and that one from the factory comes with a aftermarket trigger, which is pretty cool. I'm excited for that. I'd like obviously the copperhead would be kind of cool too, just because of, again, they've taken this platform and they've just condensed it as much as possible. I've heard that the federal police are being a bit bureaucratic and annoying in the sense that they're not wanting to let it through because it has less than a 4.5-inch barrel, or sorry, 4.2-inch barrel or whatever. Sorry, not even that. It's it needs to be at least 106 millimeters or something like that, and it's got a 3.5-inch barrel or something like, I think that's what the copperhead has, and due to that, they don't want to let it in. However, the laws in Canada, this might be a bit boring for those who aren't here, but I'll just get into it real quick. For those in Canada, handguns since the 99, I think, have been, anything that doesn't have a 106 millimeter barrel is its own class of restricted, and you need a special grandfather license in order to own them. But it only applies to handguns. For rifles, which this in Canada is considered a rifle, it's supposed to not matter. Again, the whole reason behind this law was they wanted to get rid of concealable handguns because that was what's used in most crime. And a rifle would be naturally large enough that it wouldn't be, it's larger than a handgun with a 106 millimeter barrel, so it's kind of odd to reduce it in that sense. But anyways, apparently the RCMP lab is being sticklers about that. A little bit frustrating, but I think we'll probably eventually work through it because they should be following the letter of the law. And the letter of the law states that rifles should be exempt from any barrel length restrictions. Anyways, really quickly as well, Lancer mags. There's a Gen 1 and a Gen 2. You can tell by the color of the follower. This is a Gen 2 with the FDE follower. I think the Gen 1s just had a black follower. It was better to use the specific Gen 1 with the Gen 1 guns, Gen 2 with Gen 2 guns, though I do believe they're both backwards compatible. I think when they issued Gen 2 out, there was more with caliber conversions in mind, and I think that might have been what the mags were redesigned for. Maybe. I'm speculating there. Overall, I just think this is a fantastic weapon platform. This just comes with an A2 bird cage, and this QD blast shield from Griffin clips on to most ones. It doesn't, it's not anti-rotation, but it does clip on, which is kind of cool. It kind of looks neat. I also threw on a Strike Industries handguard and an Alienware grip that I had kicking around. So, kind of cool. These are SIG's original fold-up sights. They've now moved to a lower profile design, which I like quite a bit better. These came off the Rattler. And this is their folding and telescopic stock, which I quite like. And I think I'm going to wrap it up there. So this ended up being a longer video than I intended. So if you like this kind of content, definitely go check me out on Instagram. I'm there. It's at arm.and.gun. I'll have a link in the description. But give me a check out there. That's where I kind of got started with all the firearms stuff. And check out my overview or the other videos that I've got on the SIG family rifles. I should have a Rattler video up by now. And probably after this one, I'll throw up one on the 1911s. Thanks, guys. See you next time.